the tongue, teeth on the lips.
Red leather, yellow leather.
Red leather, yellow leather, red leather, blue leather, green leather. Like Paul Bunyan's cow created blue leather. Blue leather.
Unique New York. You need unique. Yes.
You need unique New York. You need unique. It's a fucking stroke. For the cold open, you know what I was thinking about? Babe the Big Blue Ox. Thank you, Pete.
The Big Blue Ox? What is
that?
That a Paul Bunyan thing?
I don't know if it's a Paul Bunyan thing, but it is a pretty big thing. I don't know the metaphor. There's always a metaphor in those stories. Always some agenda, right? Now we've got colored cows. Well, the DEI nonsense. I wrote that joke down, and it was pretty bad. I was also thinking about we were talking about everyone. Hi, welcome to our cold open. Right before this, we were talking about Rivals, Marvel Rivals, because we're still playing it. The game is still on, and the controller is in our hands. Mm-hmm. However, this is also my stress donut, not edible. It's also a vape. I was thinking about, Daniel, how right now there is a Lunar New Year festival going on in Rivals, right? Mm-hmm. And right there are skins for Star-Lord, for Iron Fist, and there are skins for the Black Widow. And I just think that anytime they kill me in those skins, it makes me less progressive. That I'm like, you know what? I don't care about these skins. It makes me less excited for New Year's, for Lunar New Year, and it makes me kind of hate it more.
I feel that. I don't know if I can condone that, but I get it. There's that audio with Iron Fist's skin. I don't know if you've heard it yet, but it's like a little drum. It's some kind of Chinese drum. It goes as it gets closer, and it's just more and more terrifying.
Yeah, it's pretty scary. Anyways, everyone, that's just our hill we want to die on. Hello, welcome back, everyone. Yeah, it's been a minute. We've been sick.
Couple weeks.
There was if we would have missed this one, it would have been the third episode that we have missed because of Daniel for some reason. So thank you guys so much. He is still here. I'm so sorry about that. But you are. This is gonna also. I'm just gonna. You know what? Let's just rip the goddamn Band-Aid off now. This is gonna be our last show in February.
Yeah.
We're gonna explain why. Well, Daniel, you can go ahead and explain to the people why we are going to be behind again and miss another 2 weeks. After we've already missed 2 weeks, you can explain. That.
I would have loved to have our HR manager here to kind of back me up on this, because I did put in some PTO.
Hold on, they're here. Go ahead, explain why you're going to be gone.
Per my last email, I'm going to be on my honeymoon. So I'm going to be missing 2 weeks rather. Yeah.
Is that just how have you also started seeing the calendar year in episodes?
Yeah. It's every week I'm like, okay, with show episode, planned episode, show episode. Definitely starting to hit me in a way of a producer.
Pete saying a likely excuse. He can only get away with this once, everyone. So please keep track for me, because I won't.
Knock on wood.
I've got my own lies to maintain, so I can't bother with Daniel's. It's Daniel is getting married next Friday.
Yeah, it's coming up fast. Valentine's Day, 2025. But what better day to get married on? Probably some nice afternoon in June.
Arbor Day? What's another good holiday?
Labor
Day? Get married on.
Juneteenth.
I feel like Labor Day. Juneteenth's not about you, so no, Daniel, you're not allowed to get married.
That's true.
Labor Day feels like, you think that this is laborious to be married to me? Mm-hmm. What did Pete say? It can't be the honeymoon already, since I still haven't been consulted on the cake tastings. Do you know? Wait, are you allowed to say? I don't want you to get in trouble with your husband on camera for content.
I mean, it just lives on the internet in perpetuity. I'm sure I can explain it. He
Are
did the
sure?
ordering. We didn't do the tasting. Or actually, no, that's a lie. We did do the tasting. We're using a vendor that we've used before. It's a 3-tiered cake, and I want to say we're doing. There's an Oreo, there's a carrot cake layer, and I want to say maybe just a vanilla layer. I think the vanilla is the biggest since it's like the most.
You're gonna upset my girlfriend because she hates carrot cake.
But there's not her wedding. Tiers to pick from. Everyone is invited. We'll be live streaming the event. You can find us here on fandomsocial.com/YouTube.
It is a Fandom Social wedding because I will be officiating his wedding. I am legally ordained now, everyone, just so you know.
And so isn't that a scary thought?
I think I can comment marry people.
You can what?
Like I can be like, I, Paul, take Tenchi and Pete. You are now legally married, Pete and Tenchi. Congrats.
Listen,
guys.
Arranged marriages work in most of the world.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful thing, and we'll all. Oh, look, Dwayne's married too.
Ooh,
or married, ordained.
Yeah,
that's
he's
so
ordained
fun.
as well. I am very excited to use my powers for evil.
Powers for evil. Can you bless things? Can you condemn things to hell?
I do it. So yes, I can do baptisms. So I think so. Because if I'm in control of whether or not this baby is getting like if like I what baptize this kid, right? And it dies like the next day, gets into heaven. But if I call out sick and they move it, it dies the same day, no heaven. So I'm a pretty key part to that.
Wow.
So I think
hadn't realized.
Yes, I think I can. I think I can send people to hell.
Well, that's fun. We'll do a blessing line, and you can just go down the line and give everyone a little extra touch on the way out.
Dwayne, if you know how I was just gonna say exorcism.
There's got to be a certificate for that.
Yeah. The life org, was it the life True Life Ministry or whatever? They'll figure it out for me. They've got tons of packages, and tons of things to pay for. But speaking of transitions and segues, everyone, let's move into our show. We've got a fun one. It's not going to be like last time where we talked about the Oscar nominations and it was like we went through like every category. We're just going to kind of do really broad strokes, but towards the end, we're going to talk about Emelia Perez. And if you're sick of hearing about Emelia Perez, that's too damn bad, Grandpa, because I feel very strongly about this. And my poor, sweet, gentle, kind, and wonderful girlfriend has been at the brunt end of all of my ramblings about this shitty movie. So I like the sound of that. I like
the power of Paul compels you. You need a totem or something to like hold up.
Yeah, it's gonna be a gun. Do you feel compelled?
Oh man. Yeah,
so
Emelia Perez is something else.
Yeah, so we'll get into Emelia Perez and the downfall and the rise of that movie in a bit. But first, what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about the Grammys, because I also forgot that the Grammys were yesterday. And aside from me and Daniel both watched the full show, I didn't watch like about 30 minutes of the end, but it was an interesting one, and I completely just forgot. Like, God, like I don't know about you. Like, are you like, how I follow the Oscars so closely, and I know the name of the catering company that's doing it because I'm a weirdo obsessed with it. Like, how do you feel about the Grammys?
I'm not too I don't follow it too closely. I feel like when it comes to music, like I'll pick up, Chappell Roan for sure, right? Get new gayest icon on the scene, and that kind of came naturally. Friends showed her to me, and I started listening, and just through the organicness of that, I ended up listening to that album, and but I mean, like I don't really like go out of my way to listen to all the nominees too much. But I gave everything a listen, just a once over, and that was about it. I wasn't like too following too closely, rather.
Yeah. Yeah, Dwayne says I don't even know most of the names anymore. I'm curious as to what like you all think. Like I know we've had this conversation before, probably like a year to the date, but I see the benefit of award shows. Like I still do, because I think it puts a lot like it puts like artists like Doechii, right? She's like the hip hop. She's like a hip hop artist. I think she won best hip hop album.
Rap album.
Best rap album. Like she kind of already had some heat. I think she did this like Tiny Desk concert.
Yeah.
But it gives it some validity to some of these artists, and it puts a spotlight on it. And so I think it's also a good curator of art for people, because in most cases it's like everything's so algorithmically chosen. So like all of the artists are just going to be artists that you're already listening to, and it's more of the same. Where stuff like this, like like really like the prominence of like Jean-Baptiste, he kind of came to light with this and kind of became more and more popular, and because he was performing at the Grammys, and he was really famous, and now he did Saturday Night, and he's done all kinds of stuff. And that's an old-fashioned sentence, Pete.
Yeah, I feel like the Grammys like still serve as a good vehicle to put like a spotlight on artists. But I feel like nowadays it's, especially with like TikTok and the internet, like there's so much more of like external influence on things, right? Like Benson Boone, which if you told me like a week ago, oh, Benson Boone is performing at the Grammys, I would have called you a liar. I would have said you made that name up.
Yeah.
and
that's
sure
a
enough,
fake name. It is
Benson
a fake name, probably.
Probably is, yeah. But yeah, no, when he went up and he did his song, I was like, oh wait, I know this one from TikTok, and it's one of those I've heard it on a loop over and over, but I've never gone out of my way to listen.
Right. I like that the Grammys did that this year. If you guys haven't watched it, we'll very briefly sum it up. But during the Best New Artists, which is one of the main categories that's been there for years, they actually had all of the nominees for Best New Artists kind of perform back to back, like one big long, like 15-minute segment. And I really enjoyed that. I found it like, it was like, oh, okay, this is a good way for the Grammys to put the TikTok songs together.
Yeah.
Which,
group them up,
those artists
out of the way.
Yeah. And like, they're not Beyonce, they're not Sabrina Carpenter, they're not these like massive names who have gone past the TikTokness of it all. And so I enjoyed that. And like there's artists like Ray was her name.
Yeah, never heard of her prior.
Never heard of her. And I was like, holy shit, dude, she can sing.
Yeah, she was
I listened to some of her music today, and I was like, it was great. So like it still has a benefit. I just think it's like the ceremony itself is like so like dull.
Yeah, and I wasn't a fan of like the host, Trevor Noah.
Oh, really? I thought he did a good job. I enjoyed it.
He did a good job, but I don't know, something about it. Like, I feel like when the Grammys have a dedicated like host like that, I don't know. It didn't jive with me the way I thought it would. I kind of like when it's like, oh, this artist is going to come out, give a little speech, present the award, move on to the next artist, and I like seeing that. But I guess
think Trevor Noah had an interesting job of being like, he had to be very sincere. Oh,
hello,
what's up, Miguel? What's up, dude? He had to be very sincere because like the whole thing was about like LA strong, LA power. We're doing this all for LA after the fires. And so like, I think he toned it down a little bit because like, I agree. Like it was a little boring, but like, it was serviceable. I was like, he moved the show along in a way that like, I really appreciate as a host. Like I enjoyed it. And so, but there were some headlines from, Beyonce winning album of the year and country artist of the year. That's like, I think she won best country album and best
country album and album of the year.
Yeah. So she won in two categories that truly, I'm just going to say this, I don't think she should have won.
Really?
No, I don't. Well, they're both pretty. Chris Stapleton's album and even Casey Musgrave's album were pretty good. Like,
I went to the Casey Musgrave's Deeper Well tour. I love Casey, but this album just didn't do it for me. In fact, I think Post Malone was up for country album.
I didn't like he was, and I
liked his album more.
Yeah, I didn't like that album. Wow.
Oh.
Wow.
So Richard asks a good question. Who would you have liked to see win? Chris Stapleton?
Maybe. Like, he just feels like the most country artist.
And
I was just like, just let them have their category. Like, just let them have it. Like, I know they've got the CMAs, but like, it's the CMAs. Like, no one cares. You know, it's
a little different. I feel like CMAs are only going to step down from the Grammys.
And like, I'm happy for Beyonce the person, because I like Beyonce. Well, I know it's a little, I don't want to eat my words here, but you know, I've always liked Beyonce the celebrity more than Beyonce the musician.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
And so, I have the same thing with Rihanna. Like, I really like Rihanna's like celebrity, but I'm not a huge fan of her as an artist. It's just not for me.
That's fair. Miley and Beyonce, their song, what is it? Something Two Most Wanted, I think. That one. So Miley's won a Grammy now before her dad in the country realm, which is kind of wild. But when you break it down, I think he only really had the one big hit. So
yeah,
who's to say? But yeah, she's the first Black woman to win Album of the Year since 1999. And this is her first time. She's been up for Album of the Year like 6 times now or something like that.
Yeah, I can't believe she's never won. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I think she was saying that as well as Richard, that like, it's like, I look at like some of her other albums, I'm like, I get it. Like, I don't know. I thought this album was fun, but I was just like, I didn't think it was like that great. But also the bigger one is her winning, for me, Album of the Year. I think she had some like pretty tough competition. Do you want to read who was in the category, Daniel, with her for Album of the Year?
Yeah, for Album of the Year, it was Cowboy Carter with Beyonce with Cowboy Carter, Andre 3000 with New Blue Sun, which I think was that flute album.
It was okay.
Sabrina Carpenter for Short and Sweet, Charlie XCX with Brat, Jacob Collier with Jessie Volume 4, Billie Eilish with Hit Me Hard and Soft, Chappell Roan, The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess, and Taylor Swift, The Tortured Poets Department.
That's fun to do. I feel like a cat, though. I'm not gonna lie.
You gotta roll from like the out.
Okay, so do you think Beyonce should have won Album of the Year there?
Honestly, I'm glad Taylor Swift didn't get it, but that's just me being a hater. I would have loved to see Chappell get it, but truly, I feel like the album just wasn't solid on it as a whole. And I didn't really care for Billie Eilish, Jacob Collier. I know of him. I think out of these, Beyonce deserved to win.
Interesting. Dwayne, you don't have to be gay. She's everyone's goddess.
Dude, if I may, can we like queen out for a second? Look at her. She's gorgeous.
I saw someone somewhere online had said like, I'm not usually into dudes, but Chappell Roan's pretty attractive. And I'm just like, look, man, just sort that out between you and your God. She's a woman. You're fine. You can go to church happy. But like, I just thought it was like such a weird precedent, he said. I liked Billie Eilish's album quite a bit. And yes, Chappell Roan did perform, and she was insane. Like, she's so good. I did think she was going to do like a medley of songs.
I would have loved to see a medley. Yeah.
I kind of respected that she did just one song really well. I think it's because they had that big ass horse.
Yeah.
And they're like, we got to do something with this horse, man. Like, we can't. Like,
that's the
it's
same
like Beyonce's
Beyonce used.
Yeah. It's her previous horse. Okay. So aside from that, one of the things that I thought was interesting too was like the donation, like telethon vibe that they'd had going on throughout the entirety of the Grammys. I thought it was a little tacky. Like,
a little bit. It seemed kind of repetitive. It was like every time Trevor Noah was on screen, he had to hit you with a reminder, like, use the QR code, donate to the yada yada.
I don't like the idea of like saying like, hey, look how good we're doing. We're donating. you're in a room that's probably the net worth is probably over $5 billion. Like,
easy.
Just ask them.
Yeah,
do it in private. Like the whole, like, you know, at my last company that I worked on, that I worked with. Some of you guys may know them. That was one of the things that I loved. Exactly, Alexis. Yes. What's one of the things that I really appreciated about working at Sideshow is that Sideshow had so many charities that they donate to, completely in silent, completely, because they're like, it defeats the purpose. Like, we don't need to, you know, brandish and brag and say, like, look how good we're doing. Like, we don't need a gold star. Our gold star is people not starving. So, the Grammys doing that just felt tacky to me, and I
like a pat on their own back.
And you're right, Daniel. Like, it did make me like kind of like, like at Trevor Noah every time, and especially Chapel after she won for what did she win for?
Best New Artist.
Best New Artist. She gave a really good speech about having them in her dunce cap.
Dunce cap.
It just looked like to me. I know it's like a princess cap, right?
It's kind of like medieval, very like medieval times, right?
Yes. A little dunce cappy to me. But she gave a really good speech about, you know, these record labels, you know, earning billions of dollars and just pay their artists a livable wage. Like, they can't all be Chapel Roan and Sabrina Carpenter's. Like, some of them are just pumping music onto these platforms, and like, they love healthcare. They'd love more pennies on the dollar. Like, they'd love more. And yes, yeah, and her, basically exactly, Tenchi, we're simpatico here, saying like that whole speech, basically looking at all of these other artists who funnel for these record labels, like, was iconic.
Yeah,
and I'm
no,
like,
it was great, and
good. I was like, so much respect.
I respect her in that, like, she's so outspoken, right? She was outspoken about like trans rights, like the healthcare issue, record labels like unfairly treating their, you know, their talent. You know, I mean, that's like she said, like, well, no, I think it was Olivia Rodrigo. When she like introed her, she said like, there was a point where her management label like dropped her after like shelving her as a songwriter, and then she had to end up going and working at like a donut shop.
Right, and that's where like Olivia Rodrigo like
met her
says,
or
like,
something.
She's like, that's where like I started listening to her, and like she was great. Yeah, and I think too, like, Chapel Roan is someone that's incredibly scary for these labels, because she's just like, you never, like, she has access to her accounts, and I think she's even said like, I'd probably be a lot more famous if I didn't have access to all my accounts. That she can just pop off. Like, that's just the era that we're in. Like, most times you get our current political climate, and then other times you get Chapel Roan. Like, so it really is a double-edged sword. Mr. Richard says, she's not a princess, she's a clown. Keep up with the white face reference.
Yeah, in that little spotlight that they did for each artist, she mentioned that when she was growing up, you know, the kids in her school would like say like, oh, they call gay people clowns. And so she took that, you know, and she's using it like an armor now. She said, I'm gonna be the best damn clown you've ever seen.
Wait, is she gay?
She's gay. No, she's openly
no, I
gay. You never know.
No, that's how all...
We're not assuming.
Yes, I don't want to. I just don't assume anyone's straight anymore. That's what it is.
Preach.
Feels rude. Okay, let's see. What else? A couple of other big headlines. Oh, massive. Kanye West and his wife, Bianca something?
Sensori.
Oh, I call her Nudson because she's just always naked. But his current wife, girlfriend, they were walking the red carpet, and then they were immediately escorted out of the Grammys because they were not invited. And he hasn't made like a public appearance like that in quite a long time, I think.
Yeah, he's definitely like played it quiet for a while. He was just in New York or something, like, but he was like wearing a mask, and so it was like if you didn't know it was Kanye, and I'm sure one of his team was like, hey, that's Kanye.
I'm just glad he put his headphones down and his iPad, turned it off, and he stepped outside.
Oof. Yeah, he is, for better or worse.
I know.
Like girlfriend hostage, absolutely. It always makes me so uncomfortable for him to like launch her like that. She never looks. I don't know. Maybe it's a consensual thing, but you know,
it's gotta be like a kink, right?
Yeah.
Like yes.
Did you see that? She like grabbed my shoulder.
We don't. She's a Kanye stan. That's why. Usually what you say about Kanye, big dog. That's how she sounds to me. But yeah, like it's such a weird thing that like I don't mind it. Like it's fine. Like like live your truth. My problem is like the Grammys is like a family show and there are children that go to the Grammys and like their children.
There's a photo.
It's weird.
Yeah, there's a photo. It's like, one side of the red carpet, and like it's like looking down the step and repeat, and you can see there's some kid like this, like peeking around the corner to look at her. Yeah. And it's one of those things where it's like there are kids here, and there's gonna be kids watching, and that photo of them ended up on like the news and TikTok, and yeah, it's crazy. Crazy to see her.
It worked. So like their attention grab worked. Kendrick Lamar won Record of the Year and Song of the Year. That was pretty big.
He swept his.
Shout out Pacoima. Did you see that?
Yes, dude, that was crazy.
Pacoima is a little town where we're from. Actually, our parents are from there. It's a really, really small, kind of really ghetto place, but he's got a lot of friends and family that grew up out there. So it was pretty cool to hear that. Also, when he came on stage for Record of the Year, they were playing his song. And then you can hear the crowd behind it when it says trying to strike a chord, but it's probably A minor, and you can hear the whole crowd singing. And I'm like, man, Drake is somewhere punching a hole through
like just screaming, throwing stuff.
He doesn't even need a max win anymore. He needs any kind of win.
So I saw tweets saying that Drake has won 5 Grammys in his career. And Kendrick Lamar won 4 Grammys for this single song, dissing him.
Yeah. It was pretty good. It was pretty cool to see him win. I like Kendrick a lot. Yes, it is. He's on thick. Talking about Drake, by the way, not Daniel. So Tenchi says there's Charlie XCX's performance. I didn't actually see it, so I can't really speak to it. But would you say it was PG-13, Daniel?
It wrote a line for sure. Definitely PG-13.
I'll have to watch it for research.
Yeah, for research purposes. But yeah, she performed Guess and Von Dutch. Both like really great dance tracks, and it was just very fun, very like energetic. She had a really good performance. Oddly enough, she played part of the Guess remix that has Billie Eilish on it, and Billie was just in the crowd watching, like mouthing her lines.
That's got to be fun for her though.
To be able to like sit back and watch is nice. It's fun.
Tons and tons happened at the Oscars. Oh my god, this light is like so weird on my face. Like, it keeps making me darker and then lighter and then darker. So we're gonna go a little darker because it's so bright I can't see. Anywho, the Grammys were great. They're usually fun every year. This year felt very like preachy to me. So
okay, because of the fire donations.
Yeah, like it was just a little weird. The show felt a little off as a whole to me, but we've got a whole other award show to cover. We're 30 minutes in, Daniel. So I knew I should have known better. So you guys know the Oscars are very near and dear to me. I was up watching the nominations live at 5:30 a.m. Happened to be on a Thursday, so I was already up for work. I was already driving in. But I was reacting in real time. I wish I was like live during that, so you could have all heard me react to this.
Scream and kick and throw shit.
I was like super, super happy, and I was like mad. It was a full slate of emotions, but there were some pretty big Oscar like snubs and flubs, as we called it. And then of course we're going to caveat this whole thing with the biggest piece of news to come out of the Oscars in a long time. Like not just this year, but I think this is one of the more controversial Oscars in a while. So starting with a snub, Denis Villeneuve for Dune 2. He is not nominated for Best Director. Dune 2 was kind of widely left off, like kind of forgotten. I think it's a little bit of their own fault because they released in early Q1. I think he being Denis Villeneuve was confident that like, oh, the power of the movie will like compel you, you know?
Yeah. But do you think that's like a recency bias issue? Like, oh, it came out
I think that's
so
exactly what it is. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the movie was incredible. I mean, it got praise and praise. So yeah, to see it kind of get widely left off. And then there was a whole thing about like them not considering it for original score or something like that because it reused some tracks.
Yeah, also very fitting that it won a Grammy, but it's not even nominated for the Oscars. Yeah, so it's not eligible for like Song of the Year and score because none of it is technically original. Hans Zimmer is reusing and editing some of the Dune 1 stuff. Not entirety, but like there's a percentile, I guess, and it didn't meet the threshold. So pretty stupid. Again, the Oscars just making up rules. It's all whose line is it anyways, like points don't matter. So pretty big one. I would say one of the biggest is that for the official Oscar noms, Challengers is completely devoid.
Oh, dude, Challengers, like I would have thought soundtrack for sure.
Yeah. The soundtrack specifically, the soundtrack and the score, the score itself was so good. Trent Reznor, by the way, from the Wiggles, he created an excellent score, and I think it was like so energetic. It makes the movie, and yeah, it was completely left off. And Tenchi says it's probably also because of the complete functional mess Warner Brothers is in right now, not pushing the Academy to get nominated. Oh yeah, they're having some troubles. Warner Brothers is going. I think they filed for bankruptcy for like certain parts. Like Warner Brothers Discovery is like not a thing anymore. Like it's all segmented.
Very dysfunctional there right now.
Yeah, Ron says I'm hoping Wicked wins all the awards. It'd be nice. It'd be nice to see Wicked. I'm glad. Oh well, no, Wicked was nominated for Best Picture, I believe.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, I don't think it belongs there, but it belongs in all the other categories. But it belongs there more than Amelia Perez. But we're not going to get that. So that's a pretty big one. One of the bigger surprises, I would say, is like early at the Globe, Sebastian Stan of Winter Soldier fame. Also one of the most underutilized people in the MCU, but we can do a whole show on the underutilization of great actors in the MCU. But Sebastian Stan gave a pretty great speech about like we are meant to have difficult conversations and we are meant to be this place being like the actors, like an empty space to give people permission to have these conversations. And he's like, people didn't want to meet with me because they didn't want to talk about Donald Trump. And now you're not even recognizing my movie. Well, the Academy has like rectified itself and renominated him for Best Actor, not for A Better Man, which is the movie he did with Adam Pearson, who has the facial deformity, but for The Apprentice as Donald Trump. So they're definitely trying to walk back some of that. But I don't know. It's one of two of the movies that I've yet to see. It's on my list. That and Sing Sing I have not seen.
And I hear great things about Sing Sing. And I think Coleman Domingo was snubbed for that.
Sing Sing was dragged over the coals for reasons I don't know. But Coleman Domingo, it's not nominated for Best Picture, it's nominated for Best Score. It's a shame. But that's a pretty big one. Also, even though I don't know, how did you feel about Gladiator? Like the second one?
I didn't see it.
Okay. I'm curious what everyone let me know what everyone thought about Gladiator 2. I'm very, very curious. I thought it was kind of okay. Like subpar, really. Like not like barely good, of like bad, good, and great. Like I think it's barely getting the good. But Denzel Washington is pretty fantastic in it. And the movie is infinitely worse without him. And he was snubbed as well. Like, I think he should have at least been nominated, but
Yeah.
I don't think there's anyone I would have taken out for him, because I think like Mark Strong is also in that category now. I think instead of Denzel Washington, and with them like bringing back The Apprentice, I think it's not going anywhere. But
damn. What's a shame, yeah, I remember hearing Gladiator 2 kind of getting lauded when it first came out. A lot of hype, a lot of build up around it. People were excited to see Denzel in it. And I remember one of the through lines throughout that was that, Denzel was great. He was like carrying as much of the movie as he could, but everybody else was kind of lackluster.
Solo tanking.
He was selling. No,
selling is bad.
Selling is bad?
I think so.
What's throwing?
Oh, no. Throwing is bad.
Throwing is bad. We'll get to it.
I feel like when my niece teaches me new words, she taught me something new. And let's see if any of you out there know. You won't, because me and Daniel, I think, are the youngest people here. Oh, no. Well, I think our partners are here and they're younger. But they taught us something. My niece taught me something called an Instagram story trap. Okay, hear me out, everyone.
Story trap.
So this is how people, at least girls at her school, are finding out if other people are going to their profile. And like, if you go to someone's Instagram story and they highlight some of their previous Instagram stories, it creates those little circles in their profile, and it's like Mexico, and then it says Sweden, and like music and health. Like there's like highlights that they can go on. And so what this girl does, and my niece is like, oh yeah, everyone does it. It's super popular. Is they do this, like, there's like one little thing, and it's that you can do on your story, and it's an emoji. And when you press it, it like lights up your whole screen with the emojis. And it's just like a fun thing. Well, but you can size that. So what they do is they hide one of those in their story and make it massive. So when you're skipping through, it clicks it and it lights it up, and then it will say like, this person hearted your story, but it's from like 6 weeks ago.
Oh,
and so it's like a story trap. I was just as confused. I've had her explain it to me like 4 times. And it's pretty crazy. But much like story traps seem unethical, there's a lot of weird, unethical things happening, I think, like at the Oscars. One of the biggest surprises, I'd say, of all of these is like Emelia Perez.
Oof. Here we go.
13 nominations. So
easy.
If you have not seen Emelia Perez, if you don't know anything about it, raise your hand. I will. Thank you, Ron. Yes. Man to woman or woman. Anyways, we're not going to do it. But if you don't know anything about Emelia Perez, it's a film that was released by Netflix, starring Sofia Gascon.
Carla Sofia
Gascon. Zoe Saldana, and it has got
Selena Gomez.
Thank you. I always, in my head, sometimes, maybe it's just because the era I grew up in, her and Vanessa Hudgens sort of like merged to one to me. Sometimes.
Really?
Okay. Yeah, like just as a celebrity. Mm-hmm. So the movie is about Carla Sofia Gascon, who is a trans woman, and she plays a drug cartel leader in Mexico who wants to transition from a man to a woman, leave her life of crime behind, and then things sort of change once her wife brings her kids, or old baby mama like brings her kids via Zoe Saldana, who's in the mix. It is a transgender cartel musical by Netflix that is sort of making the rounds right now on social media. Maybe you guys have seen it. I would be very surprised if there's any of you that have not at least heard about this movie, or to Ron's point, seen some of the terrible songs that are in it. But this movie, well, it's just not good.
In like the lightest terms possible.
It's just not good. I'm trying to be as like calm as possible because I've said so much about this movie. I've talked so much shit about it, and I'm trying to be like more journalistically integrous.
I feel that, yeah,
I'm trying to
even in the there's always something you could highlight about it, right? Like you don't need to shit on every part of it, but it's difficult to do with this film. There's so much that went wrong, and so much that's just not good. Like what they put forward, I wouldn't dream of it being nominated for any Oscar.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm kind of surprised it's up for Best Picture. I think it's up for Best Picture. Whereas I think it's also going to be up for like Best Razzie or Razzie of the Year, whatever their like probably. Best Picture is for.
I'm so torn with this film because there are parts of me that want to make sure that no one ever sees this film, and that Jacques Audiard, who is the director, never works again. And there's other parts of me that I'm like, you should watch this film so you know that I'm not fucking crazy. I'm not taking crazy pills. This movie is bad, and the discourse around this movie is warranted. And like to Richard's point, he's saying, I notoriously love bad movies, and this one is absolute garbage. There's a difference because there's oh God, what's his name? Good Bad Taste.
Good Bad Taste.
Yeah, he's really, really famous in LA, and he's got the little mustache, the little
John Waters.
John Waters, yes, thank you. John Waters is like, yeah, there's good bad taste. Like people can make bad films, and you're like, oh my God, I can see the boom. Like I can see like it's like bad. Like I love those movies. The problem is this movie is so full of itself and thinks that it's like
high art
movie of the decade.
And
it just is not. It's a movie that takes place in Mexico City. It's not filmed in Mexico. There are also no Mexican actors in the movie. The director has said to multiple people that he had no interest in learning too much about the culture and really nailing the details because he already knew everything that he needed to know. It was a last-minute addition to make this a musical. They included actors who did not speak Spanish that would be spoken in Mexico City. Selena Gomez being one of them. It was so bad, and it just became so apparent that they rewrote her character to not be from Mexico. Like she was, like she'd come to Mexico at some point. And it's a movie that is about, the cartel and the trans experience and music being healing and unifying, but none of those communities want this movie. They're like, this is an insult. It sets music back. It sets, cartel precedent back. It sets the trans community back. And this is just the opening.
Yeah, honestly, in like the first 10 minutes of it. And to Ron's point, them being a cartel leader and wanting to become trans was only in an effort to escape justice. In that, she was looking to fake her own death, become a woman, so that like nobody would have any idea that it was her. And that just really paints the trans experience in a really bad light. Especially in today's political climate, when trans rights are actively being stripped away, day by day. It really just it does them no favors. And like you said, like there's the Mexican community deriding the movie. There's the trans community deriding the movie. And for a movie that's supposed to be about, a Mexican trans person, it really just doesn't nobody wanted this. Nobody is like embracing this, and I feel like that speaks volumes.
Yeah, it is it's a very hollow film that really wants to get points simply for existing. And the problem is not with the movie, to me. Truly, at the end of the day, the problem is that the Academy fucking agrees with them.
Yeah.
Is that they've given them, in light of all of this stuff happening, the Academy has nominated them for 13 movies, as many as Lord of the Rings Return of the King. Like, the Academy thinks that this movie deserves to be in that same conversation. That's how I frame this to people. Like, you know, because it's so funny that people just hate this movie so much. Like, in the very beginning, when this movie was coming out and it released in Sundance, and it got a standing ovation, it won an award, and Guillermo del Toro was just like, this is cinema, it's so brave. Helen Mirren said it's her favorite movie of the last 10 years. And I think it's because the movie serves you ethics on a plate and tells you, like, oh, you don't have to like think about this. Like, you can leave ethics. Like, once the movie ends, like, we've already solved everything. We solved the trans experience. We wrapped up the cartels. We wrapped up what it means to just be Mexican. Like, we know. And you don't have to like think about it. And that's a bad movie. If like and it's a Netflix movie. Like, that's literally what Netflix movies are, is that like you should be able to listen and watch while you're doing the dishes. I'm not even being facetious. Netflix has literally asked writers to make parts of movies louder and more actiony and less talky. Because people do a lot of movies. They watch a lot of movies while they're doing dishes and while they're doing things. And so like, they don't want people to have to watch things. They should be able to like hop in and out and just understand. And something as delicate and painful and as historically delicate and painful as the trans experience, as what the cartels mean in Mexico, it's very complex. Like, Netflix should that Netflix method has no business being around that. And the problem is they have, and to someone's point saying Netflix has too much power, they do. They made this movie and they said like, oh, this is like you know, like what this is, it's like Culture Vulture the movie. And essentially, like, you can feel better about yourself and do the dishes all at once. And the problem is the Academy agrees with them. 13 times they agree with them. I'm done.
That's so disappointing. No, and I'm excited to see this movie be nominated for 13 awards, and I'm praying that they go home with none. And I hope they win all the Razzies that they're up for. Because it's just like across the board. Like, the music sucked. The acting was subpar. With writing, the themes to it, everything about it was just bad. Like, not poorly, like not well thought out. Everything was like poorly rushed, and everything felt hasty. And I mean, it looked bad. Someone pointed out the scene where the doctor's saying, you know, from penis to vagina. It looks like you could have taken it as a snippet out of like one of the Venom movies. And just like tonally, you know, it's like you want to be on Zoe Saldana's side, and at the same time, you don't want to see Carla Sofia Gascon's character like succeed, but then they kind of make you feel like sympathetic for her. It was all over the place.
And Ron, thank you for
oh my god, we haven't even gotten to that
yet. Speaking of, how do I frame this? Let me see, hold on. This is a good joke. Let me frame this. Speaking of uncomfortable transitioning, let's move over to the current state, right? So 13 nominations. I still didn't land the plane. I'm not happy with that joke. We'll get back to it. So 13 nominations, people are up in arms. They weren't happy there for all the reasons we just talked about. Afterward, so much stuff comes out that, like, I should preface that beforehand. It was more like the focus was on the movie as a whole, not really being in a place that like, oh, they were just happy this movie was made, and now it's nominated for 13 Oscars. So like they were also surprised. Like basically the casting director and the director had said like there weren't any really good Mexican actors. That's why there aren't any in the movie. And so it was stuff like that that wasn't passable by any means, but like there was just this maelstrom of terribleness happening around the movie, and so people had kind of forgotten that. And then we get, people start seeing the film, and Glad, who was a very prominent, like gay, like institute, I'd say, call him an institute, said like, this is not a trans story. I think I wrote some of their actual, it is a profoundly retrograde portrayal of a trans woman and a step backwards for trans representation. And I believe it's the Gay Lesbian Alliance Against Discrimination is what the acronym means.
Mm-hmm. Something like that.
Yeah, it's something like that. And basically they're just saying that like, the movie is not good and this is not a trans story. Many actors who are ethnically Mexican have come out against the movie, but weirdly like walking it back a couple of times. They've been I just think they're just like, oh, like they talked a lot of shit about the movie and then it was nominated for 13 Oscars and they're like, well, I do want to work with Netflix someday, so like let's like walk that back. It was just not something that anyone was interested in. It was pretty funny. A group of Mexican filmmakers even responded with a Payback parody as a short film. Did you see about that? Did you see this, Daniel?
No, I haven't seen this yet.
No, it's called Johan Sacre Bleu, and it's in mockery and in protest of Emelia Perez. It's described as a French-inspired film made entirely without a French cast or crew. The film had more than 1 million viewers in its debut. The film had more than 1 million viewers in its debut weekend on YouTube, while screenings of Emelia Perez in Mexican cinemas remained very sparsely attended.
Did you hear about the government agency that had to be like whipped up?
No, there's too much.
There's so much. Yeah. There were so many people requesting refunds and like trying to, like in uproar at the cinemas in Mexico that like a government agency had to be like involved and had to get involved with like outreach and like refunds and reparations and stuff like that. Yeah. Just because people were like so offended that they were like, I'm gonna burn this fucking theater down. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it got so bad that the jokes on Twitter are that the movie was so bad that the Mexican government had to get involved. And I think that speaks for itself. It's crazy. Think of all the bad movies that you've seen in the last few years and like how bad have they been where there had to be like any kind of intervention rather than just letting it sit on and stew on its own.
One of my favorite comments is that if you told me 6 months ago that Mufasa was not going to be the worst musical of the year, I would have not believed you. Because the music in Mufasa is bad, but like it is, it's Abbey Road compared to whatever the hell is going on in Emelia Perez. So more recently, I think kind of where we're at now is the star. Do we have a picture of her, Daniel?
Yeah.
Of the main character. This is
Carla Sofia Gascon.
Carla Sofia Gascon. God, her name always escapes me, which is probably fine. She's not a super great person.
Jeez.
In late January, so just a couple weeks ago, the journalist Sarah Hagi captured old posts on Twitter by Gascon disparaging Muslims, George Floyd, and China. After an uproar, Gascon apologized in a statement that was provided by Netflix, but the posts were dating back as far as 2016, including suggestion that Islam be banned from her home in Spain, and that George Floyd, a black man killed by the white Minneapolis police officer in 2020, I'm sure we're all familiar, was just a drug addict who very few people cared for. So these are...
And I feel like that's bad, but that's probably not even the worst of it.
It's not even, no.
There was just so many that were coming out, and you got to wonder, like, did anybody at Netflix think to like scrub her history, to go back and look, to vet her at all? Crazy that like those posts were up until like, sometime last week. But she deleted her X account. All the tweets are no longer available, but they have been captured on like the
they've been
Internet Archive.
them. All right, so that's just a tiny bit of what some of the worst things. Honestly, some of the stuff I just like, I don't want to say on our channel, so like I'm not.
Yeah. But they're out there. You can still go find them if you're interested to see what she said.
Exactly, Daniel. Right after this, you guys can knock that out. Go ahead. But my question is, what now? What happens now that the Academy very stupidly has put themselves in between a rock and a hard place, in that like they've already very clearly doubled down on this movie and think they're doing the thing the Academy does every once in a while, where they prove just how out of touch they are with what everyone else is saying and watching. Everyone. And now you've got Carla Sofia Gascon. She is also nominated for Best Actress. I think that hope's dead. Like,
do you think they'll rescind it, like the nomination entirely?
No, I don't.
That's what I'm hoping to see, but I feel like, I don't know, like on the same coin, it would be a little too, not reductive, but too punitive.
That's it's great. Yeah, it's $1 million word for sure. Like, I think it would be punitive, and it would not by any means. Like, at this point, I'm looking at the Oscars and I'm like, the Academy, and I'm like, you wanted this, do it.
Right.
Like, they have made so many bad choices with like the Green Book, which like I like that movie, but yeah, it's not Best Picture. It's like a White Knight film, and Crash, and like so many of the other ones you can get. But like, there's something about this Oscars that feels very tense, and I think it's because of these films where even Zoe Saldana has come out against Carla Sofia Gascon, the transgender woman who had all those terrible tweets, her co-star, and said, like, it makes me sad, and I don't stand with anyone who is diminutive to people who are already like battling for their rights.
Yeah.
So they already don't like marginalized. I couldn't think of the word marginalized. She already is not in her corner. All I'm saying is, here's my conspiracy theory that I think truly is, I think Carla Sofia Gascon is a bit of a pawn. Like, she's a dumb pawn, and she's a racist, xenophobic pawn. But I think truly that like some of this is orchestrated by Netflix a little bit. I have no evidence for this. I just want that out there.
Hit us with it. I'll get my tinfoil hat.
That I think they are doing this because they already know that this movie is bad, and all it's doing is driving people to like downvote the movie and get them in the app. And some people, they're saying like their subscriptions were up because they couldn't even go into the app and downvote it. So they like made a temporary account, and it's like a numbers thing at this point because they know that people hate the movie. They're like, we're not going to win that battle. Like, the movie's out. The movie sucks. Like, we can't fix what's already out there. But the movie's not even
using it to like rage bait.
Exactly. I think that's literally what it is. Some parts of me are like, man, I wonder if like Sofia Carla Gascon's a little like right-wingy. Like, obviously she is.
Oh, absolutely.
But if she is like driving the anti like trans narrative like purposefully, like she's just trying to get on Noah's Ark.
Yeah,
like she doesn't care who she leaves behind.
That's a great point. I didn't really consider it that way.
The flood's coming, and she's like, I'd rather be on the boat. And so there's parts of me that think that. And again, for legal reasons, I have no evidence for this. This is all unsubstantiated conspiracy. But I think some parts of it are also the Academy doing it to drive numbers to their show, which is going to be on Hulu for the very first time ever. This is the first time they've ever split the show like this, where they're allowing people to stream live as well as watch on ABC. So then you've got ABC owns Hulu, but like they're basically like splitting their audience.
Yeah.
So I think some of this controversy is maybe inflated a little bit, like the 13 nominations, just to get people upset enough to watch. Because the 13 nominations and the awards that they're nominated for, like nobody wants to watch them win, right?
Right.
So maybe Zoe Saldana. She's like the one person in this that everyone's like, if she wins, we're okay with that. At least that's how I feel. So, but those awards categories are spread out all throughout the night. So you want to tune in to yell, about how much you hate this. You got to watch all night.
The whole thing. Yeah.
Or else you're just going to be behind on social media, which some people are going to be fine with. But I think the Academy is driving some of this narrative themselves to get people to watch their show. I know what I saw.
That is a great point. I will say that technique works because I can't tell you how much how much bad press I heard about Emelia Perez, and I was just putting it off. I had heard it was coming out. It was about a trans actress, and she's a lead trans woman in a lead role. That was huge. And then all the bad press started coming out about it. Everyone's saying, "Oh, this movie sucks. It's awful. It's not good representation." And it wasn't until it finally hit a boiling point that Richard and I were like, "Okay, let's see what the hype's about. Let's watch it." And then we hated that damn technique. It really does work.
Yeah, it's like what Tekashi, I call it I'm sure there's people before, but it was like the Tekashi 6ix9ine effect, where he just everyone just hated him. And you're just like, oh my God, I bought his album so I could burn it. And he's like, well, thank you for buying the album. I appreciate it.
Right.
And yeah, to Alexis' point, Mexicans are offended by the bad Spanish. Yeah, that's what we were mentioning earlier, that even the Mexican and Spanish community, they hated this movie because it just had no place. And they were just like, oh, there's not enough good actors, there to tell my story. It's like, you're French, who cares? Okay. But yeah, it'll be an interesting show. I truly, and I'm speaking right down the barrel here, I don't think this wins much of anything. There's nothing that it really deserves outside of Zoe Saldana, who is good in everything. That's the problem though. She's good in everything.
And she was selling this role too. She was incredible. But I mean, you can tell she's doing the best she can with what she was given, the material that she had.
Do you think, Daniel? Let's say there's no. I mean, I'm telling you right now, and God, I hope I'm not wrong, but Carla Sofia Gascon, I don't think there's a snowball's chance in hell that she wins. But if she does, do you think they're gonna boo?
Yeah, I think so.
But it's all the Academy. It's all other actors there. But I'm I also never thought I'd see Will Smith slap someone.
Oh God, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, I think we're in a time right now where society as a whole, those traditional norms are kind of out the window. If this were to have happened 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I feel even it's like Casey Affleck. I think he won during his really controversial year.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I think it was sexual assault allegations. And people just they still they clapped. I'm sure it wasn't a raucous, cheering, but I feel they still respectfully clapped and cheered and whatnot. And I feel now that you probably wouldn't see that same energy. I think people are more comfortable calling out bad behavior for what it is and treating it as they should, or be more open with it.
You know who we need to get in the audience? Front row, Chapel Roan. She wouldn't stand for that shit.
Oh, she'd lose her mind. She would get up there. She would have her Kanye moment. She's like, I'm gonna let you finish, but
yeah, she brings up her pink pony club, and it's just a pink pony like club that she's xenophobes with. And so yeah.
But speaking of the substance,
I'm
learning.
Substance also nominated for quite a bit, and I'm very excited for that. We don't have time; it's already an hour and 5 in, Daniel. But I'm very excited to see a body horror film nominated for Best Picture. Truly, truly great. But and Gina said Emelia Perez is the 2025 version of Crash winning, and yeah, Crash was fine, like a fine movie, right? That like you want to rent it, go rent it. You're like, oh yeah, I watched that. But like Best Picture, no. And so
not even especially against the other nominees that year.
Look, I'm not a shill. I don't work for them. We are a independent show looking for sponsorship. So we're not
for the right price.
We will. I think if there is a year that you're gonna watch the Oscars, watch it this year. Do it for me, and boo Emelia Perez anytime they're up for anything.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself.
Thank you. Okay.
I will be watching. I will be booing.
We're having a party.
Oh yeah,
we're having me, Daniel, our partners. We're having a Oscar party. You're all invited. They're all invited. Please email Daniel so we know how many cakes, how much chips to get,
and jalapeno
Hawaiian punch. What did you say?
Jalapeno poppers to make.
How many jalapenos need popping? So let us know. But I'm very excited. I'm yes, not currently shilling for anyone, but we are very much open.
Yeah, so we'll have to do like a ballot. We'll make a Fandom Social ballot with all the nominees. See how many everyone gets right.
Winner gets a cameo from Daniel. So
yes, I'm down. Wearing my
I don't know, but maybe we'll be live tweeting it or something.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah,
we could set up a laptop. We'll brainstorm.
Well, you got to get married first, and then we'll worry about the important things like the Oscars.
I'm gonna be so jet lagged. We come back. So the Oscars Sunday, right? We come back.
I don't think it's that Sunday.
I think it is March 2nd. No. Yeah, we come back from Japan on February 28th. So we'll have like maybe 36 hours or something back in the States. Still trying to recoup my schedule.
You're like, I'm trying to reassimilate into this country's racism. I just got done with Japan's racism. I got so much to learn. Maybe we'll do something for the Oscars. But as always, like this was a bit more of a breezy show through it. We're not gonna go to the noms. We're not gonna do all that. But thank you so much, everyone. We appreciate you guys hanging here with us. I guess a little bit of news, some stuff that, we already said this is going to be our show because Daniel's getting married. At least that's what he put on his time off request. So we're going to be a little bit busy this month, but we'll see you guys in March. Yes, that's why I don't want to do it. It's literally why I'm afraid to live stream, because I don't want to be perceived that way. I'm really nervous.
That's fair.
So when I was thinking about this, and eventually, maybe starting in March, we will go live once a month, but we will be doing pre-recorded content throughout the month. So we're not just going to see us just once a month, but this kind of allows us to edit things, do a lot more research, and do content that's not just like at a set fixed date. We will still be going live periodically, probably about once a month, maybe towards the end of the month, do like a news roundup and see what flavor Daniel's vape is, of Daniel's flavor of the month. What's it today?
Cool mint.
It's a mint with sunglasses on. But eventually we will be once a month, and then content sprinkled in throughout 5, 10, 15, 20-minute videos. So yeah, just been waiting to see like how we're gonna get that out there, but like this is kind of the perfect time to do it because we're already gonna be off for a couple of weeks because someone's getting married. And so yeah, it'll be new. It'll be new. We haven't done a lot of pre-recorded content here before, except for like the movie reviews that me and Alex used to do. But
yeah,
just a little update for everyone. Any complaints, please send them to Daniel at Fandom Social at fandomsocial.org. And he'll take care of those for you promptly. Anything else?
In the order they are received.
Yes, thank you. Anything else from you? Excited? Next time everyone sees you, you'll be a married man. You'll be a married spud.
Kind of crazy. Very excited for the trip. It's one of these things. Richard and I have been like planning our wedding since like the day we met. Crazy enough. So it's just a matter of like making sure everything's ordered, everything's placed, but we're breezing through it. It's gonna be fun. We're excited. I did have one last little piece for the show, kind of throwing it back to the Grammys. Lady Gaga dropped a brand new song and music video, and I need everyone to go watch it. It's so good. Lady Gaga is back officially. They say this is the beginning of the recession pop era coming back.
What is recession pop?
It's this phenomena where music suddenly gets, so they say it's kind of like a pendulum swing in society, right? In that like when things are good, when like times are not awful, the general public is more okay with like soft spoken, like Billie Eilish was really big for a time. Very like soft spoken, like Taylor Swift's last album, the Tortured Poet Society. Very boring, very like low key, boring,
like same pretty much like we always heard. I see.
But when the economic indicators aren't looking so hot, music tends to swing into like a dancey, clubby, ragey, just bangers. And they said Brat was kind of the start of that. And that Lady Gaga's new singles, Disease and Abracadabra, are starting to move us in that direction again.
Recession. Okay, I like that. It's kind of like the have you ever heard of the Waffle House indicator?
Yes, the weather indicators, right?
The Waffle House weather indicator, where if you don't know, it's like that Waffle Houses are always open. Like they never close, right? They're 24/7. And so the government at one point used to be able to measure how bad a natural disaster was by if the local Waffle Houses were open or not. And if they were closed, they're like, "Oh man, shit's bad. We better send FEMA in there to do nothing." And then if things were okay, they're like, "It's running, it's fine."
Disaster index. That's what it is.
Thank you. So
truly crazy.
So, Lady Gaga is our pop economic
recession indicator.
Yeah, I'm sure she would love it. That's probably one of the names of her songs.
It might be. It's the new bonus track. You have to play it backwards to hear it.
It's decent. But also to Jin's, will Alex and Autumn ever return for the show? I hope so. They've just been so busy, like doing their own thing. Like there is no plans in the immediate future, but they know how to get in here, so they'll always come in when they can.
Well, I'm on for a guest spot.
Yeah, we got to run it past HR. We'll run it past HR. No, but yeah, hopefully. But maybe they'll come back for whatever. Maybe Autumn will come back for whatever boring Taylor Swift album we get next. Who knows?
Yeah. Oh, there was like a Buffy
Oh yeah.
Sequel, something like that.
It's like a. Oh God, we can't spend more time talking about things we don't know. But it's like a prequel directed possibly by like Chloe Zhao.
Yeah.
I think, which would be pretty sweet. So, hopefully, more and more of it. Next time we see you guys, we will have seen. I will have seen. You will have seen Captain America. We can talk about Captain America. Brave New World's coming out. It's like I think it's like one of the first Marvel movies that I'm really excited for. The Oscars will have happened. We got a lot to talk about next time, everyone. So in this immediate time, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you guys in a few weeks, probably sooner rather than later. We'll probably go live immediately after the Oscars, like that day is that Monday, so we'll be able to talk then. Maybe we'll go live during that, who knows. Love Hurts, yes, pretty stoked for that. We'll see. But Richard said, fun fact, the first day Daniel and I met, the second Captain America movie had come out, Winter Soldier, and that day of our wedding, oh
yeah, I forgot about that. Well, not that I forgot about that, but
your love is 4 Captain America movies long.
Yeah, crazy.
3 movies. Yeah,
we met what was it, Winter Soldier, and then now Brave New World. Kind of crazy.
If you guys can, if your love can survive Captain America Civil War, it can survive anything.
Oh, we'll take that offline because I need to talk to you about that. I'd love to.
Alrighty. Well, everyone, thank you all so much. We'll see you guys very soon. Remember to like what you love what you like, and when you can, boo Emelia Perez. Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Avita Sang.